becoming a professional. Okay. B'Shem Hashem na'aseh v'natzliach. I think I should make a disclaimer every time. I'm not, this shiur is not for anyone else. It's definitely for me more than anyone else. I'm not by far any authority on Chinuch. So I'm just reviewing this with everyone else, but really, Hashem Yazor, we should be zoche even somewhat. We were discussing planting and building in Chinuch of the children, and we said that very important to plant the seed and let it grow on its own. At the same time, to build. That means you build the structure, right? And you help him grow in that direction. At the same time, you gotta give the child a leeway, a place, like, to allow the seeds that you have planted to grow. He's a person of his own, and the child is a person, and the child needs to be able to take the initiative, have that independence, and to be able to grow naturally. Okay? If you don't, it's going to be a robot, right? And if you don't have a structure, it's just going to be wild. Pere Adam. Pere Adam means like a wild Adam. That's not what we're looking for. So it's a balance of both. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out. But that's the name of the book. The name of the book is Binyan Ziryahu Binyan B'Chinuch. We mentioned last time also. It is translated in English by Rabbi Lawrence Kaliman. Amazing job. Building and planting in Chinuch. Definitely recommended. We're just going to go over it ourselves. So therefore, what we ended off last time was that you gotta let the child grow at the same time as you're building the child. All right, these are like general rules. We're not even we're very general. There is a Mishnah in Masechet Avot that we quoted last time. This Mishnah says, it is in the 5th parak of Masechet Avot, towards the end. It says, this is a Mishnah continuation of what Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema was saying. He says, Ben Chamesh lemikra. When a child is 5 years old, you got to start teaching him Chumash. Ben Eser, when he's 10 years old, you got to teach him Mishnah. Ben Chamesh Eser ligmara. That's what he writes. When he's 15, you teach him Gemara. Obviously, these timings do not apply to our days. The Mitzvah of Talmud Torah, did we talk about this Mishnah last time, I think? The Mitzvah of Talmud Torah has changed drastically, because it depends on the people, it depends on the society. The Mitzvah remains the same, that we have to learn Torah. Everyone has to learn Torah. But it's interesting that the Mishnah gives a timeline. It says when the child is 5 years old, teach him Chumash. When he is 10, teach him Mishnah. When he is 15, teach him Gemara. Why not earlier? Might as well. Why not? If he's 3 years old, teach him Chumash. Why not? Chachamim are teaching us that the growth, the organic growth of the child happens in steps. There are steps after steps that has to be taken. There comes a time that the child now is ready to study Chumash, right? Then teach him Chumash. There comes a time, right, that the child is ready for Mishnah. Then you teach him Mishnah. But at the same time that you're teaching him the Chumash, right, he's growing on his own. He has his own growth that he on his own picks up different things and attaches it to whatever it is that you are building for him. Okay? So the Chachamim are teaching us that there is timing. There is a timing here that is very, very crucial for this child. And when he is growing and he reaches the age 10, they said, right, then he's ready for the next step, right? Because he's more mature and so on and so forth. And now it is time for him to go. And as he grows, another 5 years, so to speak, then it is time for him to study the Gemara. Why? Because his brain is mature enough, he's able to accept it, he's able to swallow what you're giving him. Before that, not good. After that, also not good. So our Chachamim are teaching us how important Chinuch is, how important the discipline that we're giving the child is, and how much we have to be very careful about the proper timing. Chinuch is not something like, okay, let's throw it all in the pot and do it. No, Chinuch is about time, patience, waiting, and the timing, right? It's all that. All of that is in there. Scary, but I'll say it anyway. It says in Parashat Ekev, right? We say in Shema, "Velimatem otam et benechem ledaber bam." Right? The Torah commands us that we have to teach our children Torah. Velimatem otam, teach them the Torah. Ledaber bam, to speak in them. On this pasuk, our Chachamim said in Masechet Sukkah, "Katan hayodea ledaber," a youth that learns, that starts to talk. Aviv melamedo Torah v'kriyat Shema. The father must teach him Torah and Kriyat Shema. The Gemara asks, Torah mahi? What is Torah? You got to sit and teach him the whole Torah? Amar Rav Hamnuna, Torah tziva lanu Moshe. We talked about this last week. You teach him this pasuk of Torah tziva lanu Moshe, Morasha Kehilat Yaakov. And that's what everyone does. Like, thanks to Uncle Moshe, we have a song. Like, this is what everyone does it. And we explained last time, it's such an important pasuk. In it, there are so many important fundamentals in Judaism. He doesn't get it. But the seed is planted. You remember we said, he knows there was a Navi, great Navi that we have, Moshe. There is such a thing as Torah. And there is such a thing that he commanded us. There are commandments in the Torah. Torah tziva lanu Moshe morasha, and it's a morasha. That means it's an inheritance for everyone. Everyone has equal access to study the Torah. So many things in there. Baby, 2-year-old, 1-year-old, whatever, however old he is starting to talk, doesn't get these fundamentals, but you have planted the seed. This seed will grow in the proper environment to give us the right fruit. There is a midrash. Midrash is in Sifrei. Sifrei is the name of the midrash on Sefer Devarim. It says over there. From here, our Chachamim told us the same thing pretty much, that when the child starts to talk, the father teaches him Lashon HaKodesh. It says over there. The father should teach him Lashon HaKodesh, right, the holy language, and teaches him Torah. Then he says, and if he doesn't speak to him in Lashon HaKodesh, and he doesn't teach him Torah, Ra'ui lo ke'ilu kovro. It would be fitting for him as if he is burying the child. Right? Scary. How do they know this? How do the Chachamim know this? Same pasuk. Velimatem otam et benechem ledaber bam. Teach these to your children that they should talk in them. If you teach them, right, to your children, then the next pasuk is Lema'an girbu yemechem b'yimei benechem. They will have a long life, and you'll have a long life, and they'll have a long life. And if not, if you don't velimatem otam et benechem, then what happens? Chas v'shalom, the opposite. Right? This is the Midrash. This is quoting the Midrash. Says Rav Wolbe, what's going on? What in the world is going on? Why are Chazal coming down so strong on this? Just because you didn't teach him how to speak. He says how to speak, in Torah, how to speak Lashon HaKodesh. It's that bad? They're saying like this. If you don't catch the child at the right moment, what's the right moment? The right moment is when he starts to talk. The moment he starts to talk, catch him. Teach him. Torah tziva lanu Moshe. Then, otherwise, if we don't, drastic outcomes. Right? Why is it so important? Because that is the right moment of planting. You want to plant in him the emunah, you want to plant in him the connection to Torah and to Hashem, that's the moment of planting. If a person takes a seed and plants it in the earth, right, the earth is ready, the seed is going to grow perfect. It's going to be a success planting, right? It has to be done from the get-go, from the beginning, from the first moment. If we miss it, if we miss the right timing, right, then the earth is not ready. The earth, the ground that you want to plant your seed is not ready. This is in the world of agriculture, in planting and everything. There are times that we know are the right times for planting. When do they plant wheat, especially like winter wheat and in the beginning of the winter? That's when they've plowed, they've tilled the soil and everything. It's all ready, and then you plant it. This is, it has nothing to do with engineering. This is a simple agriculture, right? If you miss it, if you're like lazy and you wait, then the rain season is going to begin. And whatever seed you put in there, they're just going to rot. They're just going to go bad. Nothing is going to happen. Chaim tovim, right? Nothing will grow because the seeds that you put in the ground, they're just going to rot, right? On the other hand, if a person says, okay, fine, you know what, I want to be good, I'm going to start earlier. It says early, then that's also not good because the earth is not ready yet and you're not going to have rain at the right time. What's going to happen is, again, these seeds that you planted, nothing is going to happen to them. Right? So it is the time, it's up to us to catch at the right time. That's what we have to do. That's what Chazal said. Keshehatinok matchil. The language is matchil ledaber. He starts. That moment of the beginning of the talk, we have to catch him right there. Aviv melamedo, medaber imo b'lashon hakodesh. The father must speak to him in Lashon hakodesh and teach him Torah. So what we are discussing here at this point in time is the nekudat ha'atchala, the point of starting. That moment, the moment that you want to plant that seed, right? Chinuch is ongoing, right? But we want to understand that one of the major points of Chinuch, that there is a starting point, and in fact, he brings a proof from Rashi. Avraham Avinu had a nephew. His name was Lot, right? And Lot was living in Sodom ve'Amorah. And there was a rebellion. 5 kings rebelled against the 4 major kings, right? These 4 major kings came by and they fought a battle with the 5 kings and they took everyone. This was World War I. Okay, as we know. It says, Melech Goyim, all the Goyim. This is World War I. And the whole World War I was ultimately against Avraham and Yerushalayim. You know that. Because after the war was finished and everything, the king of Yerushalayim, Melchizedek, Melech Shalem, came and brought gifts to Avraham. What in the world are you bringing gifts to Avraham? Who are you? What it was, he knew and understood that the battle was against him and against Avraham. This is Pasuk in Perek in Tehillim. Kadosh tells us that the Tehillim, Perek 83, Perek Gimel, talks about Melchemet Gog uMagog. And that battle, it says, Al Hashem ve'al Meshicho, that's talking about, it brings all the nations over there, it names all the nations that will come at the end of times. Kadosh says, this Perek is talking about the Gog uMagog. That means all the nations will come against Am Yisrael. Okay, so that was the battle over there. They came, and instead of getting Avraham, they took Lot. He was very similar to Avraham, and they were hoping to drag Avraham into battle. This was the idea. And Avraham goes to battle. Fine, we're not going to get into it. There's one interesting pasuk there. It says, Vayarek, this is in Parashat Lech Lecha. If you ever want to look it up, it's in Parashat Lech Lecha. It says, Vayarek et chanichav. He prepared, or he gave them weapons. Chanichav. Chanichav means the people that he trained, or the people that he raised. Rashi says over there, Chinuch. What is the meaning of the word Chinuch? Hu lashon hatchalat kenisat ha'adam o keli, right? Le'umanut shehu atid la'amod ba. This is a major Rashi. He says, you know what Chinuch, the language of Chinuch, Chanichav is Chinuch. You know what is Chinuch? Chinuch is the beginning of entrance of a person or a vessel to whatever profession that he will in the future be in. That's Chinuch. Chinuch is the beginning. And then Rashi brings proof, Chanoch lenar. Shlomo HaMelech is talking about, how do you discipline, how do you train, how do you raise your child? He says, Chanoch lenar al pi darko. Rashi brings help from there, that also is talking about the moment, the point of beginning, when you start off. Chanukat HaMizbeach, the first time that they used the Mizbeach, the altar. Chanukat HaBayit, the first time that they used the Beit HaMikdash, and so on and so forth. According to Rashi, what is Chinuch? That means the entry point, the first time that anything happens, the beginning, it has to be done correct. It has to be done properly, and this is how you are mechanech, this is how you raise, this is how you discipline and train your child. When the child reaches a certain milestone, certain time in his life, right there you have to be there, be ready, be alert to plant the seed. That's the time. Then, if we don't do it at the right time, then chas v'shalom, that's not good. Right? If he didn't catch that seed at the right time, then the right plant won't grow. Right? You're not gonna see someone the emunah is gonna be alive within him. Right? He knows Torah. He's breathing it. It's a different life. So our job is to be aware, to be alert, to watching. In the Torah, you're gonna find a lot of importance to many different starting points, right? Is it the beginning of the year? We have the Rosh Hashanah. Is it the beginning of the week? We have Motzei Shabbat. Is it the beginning of the month? We have Rosh Chodesh, right? For anything of the beginning you see in the Torah, there is a very important room for it, right? And we have to pay attention to, right? Why? Because the beginning is the time that you could plant something. The beginning is the time that you could start something fresh and good, right? But if you miss that, Rosh Hashanah passes, and the person says, okay, I'm going to be doing this and this year. I'm going to lose, 100 pounds. I'm going to, all these things. Fine, a week passes. I say, I'll start. In the beginning you're going to be good, but then we lose it. If we catch it in the beginning, then we're good, right? If you plant the seed right there in the beginning, perfect. You have to know the timing. So what happens is, it's a little tough. There is a demand on us parents that we have to recognize more or less. It's not talking about this is military time at 0600 hours, this is gonna happen. It's there is a phase, there is a time, there's a period of time that they're in. More or less, we have to pay attention to it. When the child is growing, this is the right time for this. And to adjust the demands that we have to the child based on each season, based on each period of time that the child is going through. If you overdo your demands of the child, right, when he can't do it, right, when he's not yet mature enough to understand what you want from his life, right? It's a big mess up in chinuch. Right? We lose the boat because he's not ready yet. He's not mature yet. He has no idea what you want from him. Right? Such seed is not going to get hold. Right? He's not going to be able to develop. He's just going to be like a parrot. He's just going to repeat after you, and he doesn't understand it. He doesn't get it. Right? A lot of parents want to feed the child everything. Oh, he's smart. I'm going to teach him everything. He's going to be the smartest kid in the neighborhood. I'm going to teach him this, teach him that, teach him this. We're not doing him a favor. We're not doing them a favor. You have to wait to see he's mature enough. He's going to understand. Talk to him. You see the light in his eye suddenly. Say, oops, that's the light bulb. Good, perfect. He has to grow in stages. Right? And to pass the stages, of childhood, you can't demand too much from him, right? So we're not going to talk about, how to figure out, how to see the different things. That's a whole different ballgame. We're just trying to see the formulas. What does the Torah want from us? At different stages. Then our job is to try to assess, to try to see, to try to pay attention. What's going on. Rav Wolbe writes, one of the things that is very, very common is mothers want to show show off, I should say, that they have succeeded to raise and train their children to be very clean at a very early age, right? And as much as, quote unquote, they succeeded to do this earlier, more proud they are. Wow, look at this. Such neat clothing, so nice. Everything is perfect, gorgeous. Rav Wolbe writes, these days, it's an accepted opinion, and he says, and I do accept this opinion, that if you force the child too early to be clean, it will damage his whole development, right? It says, look, there will come a day the child will want to be clean, doesn't want to be dirty all the time. He says, and when that time comes, everything will fit in perfectly. You understand where he's going to?
Same talking about how the toilet training too.
Everything, because everything he wants to do. Oh no! Don't do this. It's gonna get dirty. Your clothing are gonna get dirty. Don't. The child is gonna be scared to do anything. The idea was tzemicha. Let him grow. Let him loose. Throw him in a sandbox. Let him get dirty. Let him develop. Let him be independent. The mother, and the kid is scared. Oh, my mommy is gonna kill me. Things like that. Why? Because she comes home. What have you done? You're all dirty. What is everyone gonna think about me? I'm such a messy mother. I'm saying, how did I raise you? What happened to you? Rav Wolbe is telling us, listen, this is gonna hurt him. Because you gotta let him loose. You gotta let the child, let him get dirty.
How old is he talking about?
We're talking about the early stages.
3 to
Early
5.
stages. Look, hopefully by the time they're like 6, 7, they should have some idea of what clean means. We're talking about early stages. I remember in Israel, many people that I know, they would let the kids walk around bare feet. Totally. And all the feet were black and everything. But these kids had self-confidence, wow, amazing. It goes with it because, you're walking barefoot on the ground, it'll give you a certain, here, I don't know, going barefoot, I'm not sure, I wouldn't go that far. Besides, halachically, outside of Eretz Israel, it's not so good to go walk barefoot. There's a tum'ah on the ground, it's not, let's not get attached to the examples, but I'm just saying, there is a certain thing in this. He brings another example. It's an amazing example. He says many times, we don't relate enough to the toys, to the games of children. Right? Games that children play. He says, games are very serious. Very serious for children. Right? He says, "Ze davar retzini me'od etzel hayeled." That's what he says. He says, Rabbi Salanter, Zecher Tzadik V'Racha, he used to say, when a child is playing with a piece of stick, right, in the bathtub, and he says, "This is my ship," right? If you take it away from him, what have you done? You have now drowned an adult's real ship. That's exactly what it is. This, for him, is exactly equal to a ship by someone's yacht. If you bother him in the middle of a game, you're stealing something from the child. Right? In their mind, they're developing. Come on, this is the ocean. This is this. There's so many things going on. This is what goes on in their mind. And if we disturb them, if you you go say, what is this? You break it up. You've ruined his whole imagination, everything. It gets distorted. In his mind, he's building things, he's doing things, the sense of imagination that he has. And especially, Baruch Hashem, if he doesn't watch TV, his sense of imagination, is not taken away from him by force, by these movies and the cartoons and whatever. He builds his own, imagine what it is, creativity that they could develop and so many things that they could come up with. And it's not fair. Take that away from them. So Rav Wolbe says that's an extremely important thing to remember. Extremely important thing to remember and pay attention to. These are all part of the tzemicha. semicha, the organic growth of the child. He says there are some things that it seems that they're accepted, everybody agrees with. For example, at the Seudah of Shabbat, right, you're sitting at the meal, you want the kids to sit by the table the whole meal, right? You want them to sit, don't budge from the table. Even if the Seudah drags on, right, for a long time, especially if you have a guest, right, and you really want to show off to the guests. My kids are very well trained, very well behaved, they sit at the table nicely, he says this is torture. You can't ask the child to sit by the table. It's impossible. For a long time to sit quiet by the table. What do you want from him? He needs to run around. This is way above his abilities. He can't do it. Don't ask him for so much, right? You're asking him to do something which is above his abilities, and it's not fair. It's not fair. He says, I don't have to explain to you how terrible this is. It's, the intention is good. You want to build, we're talking about building, right? But you're taking away the planting. He says when you force him, he's not going to be built properly with something that is above his abilities, right? And this is damaging, right? He says this is even more damaging when they're younger, because every disturbance in the time of the planting, that's the time of the planting, the early ages, that's the time of the planting. Any disturbance there, it could create a lot of terrible outcomes later. So right then, at those early stages, 3, 4, 5 years old, those early stages, that's the stages of planting. And this is disturbing the planting time. When we do this, when we force them, sit nicely, sit quietly. This is why, coming to shul, he's going to talk about it later. Bringing the children to shul, poor thing. What do you want from him? He can't sit quiet. He's a 3-year-old. What do you want from his life? He has to sit quietly. Of course, it's shul. It's a bet knesset. He has to have kavod. So you can't. Don't bring him. That's really what it is. We're going to talk about it more later, Bezat Hashem. All right.